Hajime! All right. Welcome to A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. Myself, Six Nation 31 Kings, and of course, our lovely Janet from Another Planet is with us today.
Hello.
We're discussing a 1999 holiday favorite. It's a Christmas movie. Go! And
Sorry.
it's kind of funny how all that always does seem to pop up. Oh, look, you're streaming. Did you know you're streaming right now? It's better than
Thank
hearing
you.
me through secondary speaker, like 10 seconds delayed.
YouTube, every other social media platform I got. I know what I'm doing.
I try. I try.
I
So-
pretend really well. No,
We saw that. I'd never heard of this film before, like 6 to 8 weeks ago. And then a friend of mine said, "You ought to really see this."
It was one of those things that
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I
didn't
turned it off.
Like, on the airwaves. You know, the posters were up in the theaters, and it was like a month or two before it was shown, but it wasn't real TV as far as I remember.
Mm-mm.
A bajillion years ago.
Was this the director's first movie?
Second or third. I know there was a movie in 96 called Swingers, and Doug Lyman got a lot of attention for that. And that was pretty much his open door where he could go do anything he wanted in Hollywood. And he
Mhm.
was still working with independent movies, and people were just kind of nodding their head at him like, "Hey, yeah, go ahead, do this." And so he went ahead with this film here, which is a cute little drug caper, is the way I would phrase this to somebody who's just a casual. I think he did Swingers, and he might have had some smaller projects before that, but Swingers was really his barnstorming of Hollywood, where he just went in, took no prisoners. If you ever hear people talk about Swingers, that's like a movie that elevated Vince Vaughn and a few other big Hollywood types into like bigger limelights that they had not achieved as of yet. That was their gateway, and therefore that was Doug's like bursting on the scene. This movie comes out and it's a critical success, but like nobody went to go see it, and it became
That's
a
what's
cult hit.
weird is the fact that if you said the other movie he made, Swingers, was so good, why didn't the studio make sure that he got good airtime to promote the movie?
I don't remember this being advertised.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't even remember the poster. And Sarah Pauly back then looked a lot like the lady I was dating, and so like she would have noticed that at the theater. Like, what do you think about her? Wanting to hear accolades because she had low self-esteem. Daddy never praised her. Blah blah blah. And she always wanted to hear stuff like that. And then when Sarah Pauly got to be really big with Dawn of the Dead in 2004, she was like, "What'd you think of Dawn of the Dead?" And I'm like, "Well, you and Sarah Pauly are freaking twins, So I mean, of course, I watched it. So that was just one of those things that I would have noticed this movie just myself.
Mhm.
And as time has gone on, both of them thankfully have forked in their appearances. And Sarah Pauly, she looks like she's been around Hollywood, although she really had to be cajoled to go film in California because she's a Canadian native, and so for her, like, they had to really sweeten the pot, and they had to let her look at the script a few times. And the opening part of the movie, when she tells that one lady something in the line, and the lady says, "Don't be cute. You're not something. You're something you're not." And I've been where you are. And then Sarah Pauly snaps back at her, "Look where it got you." That was the moment when she said that she was on board with the film. She wanted to be part of the movie when she read that part of the script because she thought it was a pretty impressive feat for the scriptwriter to snag her attention because at the time she's not feeling it. I got to go to LA to do filming. I have to do unknown amount of weeks to do filming on this. And then whenever she read that, apparently it just hit her so hard. Okay, you got me. I've got to do this. So it was definitely an impressive script for at the time, because you didn't really have things like that being said in a lot of mainstream films. This was kind of following along the lines of Tarantino's style of dialogue. And maybe I'm wrong with that, but this just feels like it's like this is a movie that you make in the wake of like Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs, because there's some really impressive dialogue choices between the actors.
It was supposed to be a short film, right?
Yeah,
Originally,
all of
something like
Rona's
that.
stuff was supposed to be one continuous story, and when they loaded it, I hate to say that word, but they did. They kind of expanded on this, and they turned it from Rona's story into a 3-forked story that does tie itself back together at the end. That was when they knew they had something. And
So was this made for like a short for a festival, a short film for a festival, and then they someone liked it and wanted to expand it into a movie?
the original script was just Rona's story, and then when they were looking at it, somebody had a bright idea, and they said we could expand this a bit because I could go places with this character design. And
well,
so
it had a lot of characters in it, so they had a lot of directions they could go in.
Yeah,
I liked the fact that they did it from 3 different points of view, like I was
It
talking
worked good as a three-parter.
earlier.
it
Because,
actually worked better, I think.
well,
way.
to me, it wasn't even really just a drug story. It was more of bad choices that young people make, thinking they're going to make a quick dollar. One of them's thinking about how much sex he can get. Okay, but he doesn't have a lot of money, and that to me, that one part about with the British guy. His was more way outlandish than reality, really, for me. Honestly, that was the one problem I had with the movie, was because it's just somebody like that to have that much happen to them. I just don't think there's that many stupid, really dumb bimbos, even back then, that would just
Have you been to Vegas? Have you been to Vegas?
Yes, many times.
Have you seen the herds of single digit IQ people that wear tiaras on the strip?
Yes.
And they think something special is going to happen to them that night.
Yeah, the girls, but they're not going to just jump in bed with some guy because he has an accent.
Simon was the everyman who,
at least I don't
Vegas,
think
because
they
he's
would.
heard the story.
Now the prostitutes would, because I was getting into the elevator at the Luxor, and we were leaving a wedding, so I was dressed really nice, in a nice long black dress and everything. And a woman came up to me and she tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and she was dressed like, she looked like a model, and she asked me if I needed some company this evening, and I was like, not right now, but thank you. I had no idea. And the other people that were with me said that she was a prostitute. I was like, oh, but I didn't even know. But she looked really good for being a prostitute, a call girl, whatever you want to call them. So, yeah. And the girls that he had in the dive bar or whatever prostitute place they went into sure looked pretty good, because when I went to a few of them with
high-end place.
Friends of mine, well, it didn't look like it from the outside. You know what I mean? It looked dumpy from the outside, I thought, when they pulled up in that real nice car. But the ones that I've seen that were gentlemen's clubs were really, really exclusive, and you had to have a tie on when you went in. And those women looked really good. I mean, but they weren't all like 9s. They were, some of them were looked like 7s or whatever. But that one that we saw on the movie, the front of it at least, when we went to a couple of those, because we just wanted to see, we just wanted to go in. We were with lots of guys. It was like 12 of us. and we went in, and man, those women looked like they'd been ridden hard and put away wet. They were not, they did not look like the gorgeous women they had in that dive bar that we just saw from the movie when he walked in and his eyes were popping out looking at the good looking women.
Janet's talking like she's been to Corpus Christi strip joints, all 2 tiers of them, the trailer court and then the high end Cheetahs.
Well, I'm just telling you what I saw in Vegas.
Okay.
So.
I just like whenever I've gone to Vegas, I've never been in Vegas itself. I've been in Needles. When I go to Needles, which Needles is not really a party capital, but if you're stuck in Needles and you're partying, fuck it, you're going to party. The 2 times I've been there, both things have happened. I've been out on the main area in the downtown, and there's usually a group of like 25 to 30-year-old women, and like half to 3/4 of them have the little tiaras on. And it's a bachelorette party in progress, and you just kind of try to give it a wide berth. You don't want to get sucked into it. If you get sucked into it, like you're turned into a cuddle partner for like 10 minutes while they stumble down the sidewalk to the next bar, and they ask you to go inside, and you're trying to just get away. And both times I've been to Needles, like I've had that where like one time I got sucked in, one time I was able to navigate outside and like went down an alley, hid in the shadows, held my breath. You don't see me. You don't see me. You don't see me. They move away. Like one of them vomits on the sidewalk and they continue. Like Needles has been like a weird place for bachelorette parties. I don't even like to go within 50 miles of Needles anymore. If Needles is that close to Las Vegas, we're skipping Las Vegas. Because like the wild bachelorette bullshit that happened to me in fucking Needles, when I'm not even there for that. I'm there doing other things. Like I parked a truck outside Needles and I went into town to grab food, took a cab in, was trying to take a cab out, and both times, like, it's depressing. The amount of crazy single wildebeest alcohol people that I find there. I don't know. But yeah, that's also been like 10, 15, 20 years ago. Anyway, the experience that happened to that Brit guy, I could see that happening. Just like I could see every other aspect of this movie happening. And this movie, like, this is like a series of unfortunate events, like Volume 3.
Yeah, that's definitely what to me what it was. It just showed me a series of bad decision making.
Young and
bad choices.
Experimenting.
Well, the only one that seemed like the dumb one, the dumbest one, was the guy that took the drugs.
Say again, Six Nations, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, I was just saying that it covers the socioeconomic.
I can definitely agree with that.
Stay within your hierarchy. Don't screw your dealer.
Yeah, and like I said, like about 6 to 8 weeks ago, I was told, I started getting feed from people like, you need to see this movie, you need to see this movie. And then about a month ago, I'm watching Normal World with Dave Landau and Quarter Black Garrett, and they're talking about their favorite Christmas movie, and Dave won't shut the fuck up. He just says one thing. He says, go, 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 go. I'm like, oh, that's a movie that apparently all the druggies are wanting to watch. Okay, cool. Well, Dave's the next druggie, whatever. If he says it's a funny movie, I'll have to check it out. I laughed about 7 or 8 times in this movie, and not in the ways that you're supposed to laugh, but just from like the worst events that could possibly happen. You get to see in this movie. Bruce laughed.
It's horrible, but it's entertaining.
When the poor girl gets hit by a car, I'm sorry, I was out of the chair next to it, laughing my ass off.
I didn't laugh at that.
But
I did laugh at the conversation in the car with the young black guy when they were talking about the contact on the guy's penis, all that different stuff, and the way that they talk to each other. Because, honest to goodness, I laughed because I have been in pickup truck with 6 or 7 guys and maybe another woman, another girl, and they're talking like that. They say stupid shit like that, and then how they're mad because the other one's using his story. That's my story. Don't tell everybody it's yours. That kind of stuff. I just thought that whole conversation in that vehicle cracked me up. And was that guy that was saying he that girl's contact got stuck on his penis? Wasn't he in that movie, The Warriors? Wasn't that the same guy that was like, come out and play, clicking his fingers together?
I don't think David Kelly was in this movie.
It sure looked like the same guy. Maybe it's his son.
Look, let me view the IMDb.
He just looks very familiar. I'd like to get two of their pictures and put them side by side because, man, that's what he looked like when he was talking. I was like, he looks like the guy from The Warrior, but he can't be. He's younger. So it could be his kid. But yeah, I just thought that conversation was hilarious. I was laughing a lot at that. I like that guy. That actor was really good too. Very believable.
A lot of this movie was far more believable than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
It really
it's sad and depressing to think about it, but yeah, we're all stupid.
It really is. This movie is just like I've been in cars where things like this are happening. And I'm sure some of you in the audience.
It's not a documentary, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah. Like this movie,
they did a really good job.
This movie is not too far from reality. That's the bad thing.
Well,
pretty much everybody.
That you had a young
situation in the car from Katie Holmes. What's the dude's name? Nathan Bexton. He played Manny LSD. I never went so far as to be like Sarah Polley, but I've been in similar situations where funds were short. I had to make.
But
so yeah, it was
the young woman that worked in the grocery store, the main character at the very beginning.
Rhoda.
Yes, she. The part that to me that was very realistic about it was the fact that young people like that are haven't been out on their own very long. They're not very good at saving money. They're not very good at planning on paying their bills on time, their car payment, their car insurance. They're always running late on everything. And the fact that she's at work and she's worked 14 hours straight on her job, and tomorrow she's going to be evicted. She's waited that long to pay her rent. Things like that. That was very realistic to me. A dumb bimbo, dumb girl that just does everything on the spur of the moment, and she's lucky she has a job. The way that the shopper was talking to her, and how they were dissing each other basically, and that was all believable. I mean, I believed all of that. So she was a really good actress, and I don't remember ever seeing her in anything. This was the first time I remember seeing her in any movie, but she did a really good job at portraying a young woman who's realizing that her life is going to change dramatically due to the fact that she's going to be kicked out of her apartment. And if she doesn't have the money, they might lock her out and she won't have any of her things, all the stuff that's in her apartment too. So it was like she waited to the very last moment to have money to pay her rent when they've already threatened to say they're going to kick her out. So to me, all of that was very believable. And her friend by Katie Holmes wanting her to sit with this drug dealer until she gets back with the money was like, just very immature. And the fact that her friend did it, which we've all done something that stupid, to sit with a drug dealer or to ride with someone, knowing that they're speeding, or they've been drinking, or they took some pills, or, they took something they shouldn't, and now you're in the vehicle with them. So now you are involved in it, even though you said, I'm not going to do that. We all have done that. Every one of us. I don't know a single teenager that's now an adult that hadn't done something stupid. So all of it to me was very believable. Almost all of it, except for the scenario to me with the British guy getting laid, and all the women were hot. You know, I could see him getting laid if he was in the movie like Shallow Hal, where he was sleeping with, you know, threes, you know, threes and fours, you know, nerdy girls that had, you know, greasy hair, you know what I'm saying? Just girls that, you know, don't get guys. They don't go to the club and get all the guys coming over and asking her to dance. Those girls, the ones that the guys take home at the end of the night, you know, because no one else is taking them home and they're drunk. You know what I mean? You know, that TV show In Living Color, I think that's what it was, where they had the guy waking up and he's next to this hyena looking woman. So he gnaws off his own arm to get out of bed, you know, that kind of stuff. That's what it reminded me of. And to me, it would have been more believable if some of the women were not, you know, nines, but every woman he supposedly slept with were very attractive. So to me, I just thought that took it away, took me out of the movie. I was like, that's impossible. This is no way. Because not every woman walking down the strip or in a casino or anything is a 10. You know what I mean?
Not every one of them,
Normal-looking
no.
people in
But
there.
when you're in a strange area, and like my favorite thing I've ever heard in my life, I was watching a show on Vet TV once,
Mhm.
and there's a sergeant that she looks at the subordinates and she says, I just want you to know I'm a deployment 10. And you have to have that in mind, because when people go elsewhere, men's brains get clouded by the fact they're on vacation, so everything is heightened, including the perception of somebody else's appearance.
Mhm.
And worse yet, if you have like an absence of contact, if you're on deployment in like a sandbox, any female you're with automatically goes up 4 points or more.
Yeah, I could see
Okay.
that.
So, like, that dude being British is going to have an easier time getting the thighs to open in Las Vegas, because women are fucking just doped up with alcohol or coked up with various narcotics, and they're wanting to go and have an event happen that they can never talk about because it was in Vegas.
Yeah,
They want to live
what
that
happens
fantasy.
in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I
Yeah,
I can
they
understand that
want to do
concept.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that was something that we forgot about this. They're in Vegas.
Mhm.
So they wanted that. And there was a lot of other things that happened in this movie that made me think like this is an actual, like, this was pieced together from various people's like various like talking about when I was young and stupid. Like when I was an Uber driver in the last 10 years, there were times where I probably should not have taken a trip, but I took a trip, and instead of canceling it the moment like illicit things are being talked about, I just nod my head. I'm like, I'm not going to talk about shit. I'm not going to say nothing. I hope you guys have a great night. Enjoy the cocaine you're buying. And that was about as frank as I could get. Like, I don't care if you want to buy cocaine. If we're going to go buy cocaine, that's great. I'm not going to talk about this because I want to keep my life and my money. And they're like, you're not going to talk about it. I said, no, I've had worse in this car. I've had situations that I don't want to ever talk about again in this car. That's soft kisses. I just want to go buy some cocaine. That, okay, fine. We're in Austin. I can help you with that. If you go over here, there's a neighborhood in the city area that you can go buy cocaine. Or if you're out in the boons, out just north of Driftwood, there's a few houses I know there. They're pretty popular. And the guy's like, holy shit, this guy does know some things. I'm like, I've been driving for Uber for a couple of years, but I don't want to talk about that. And actually, I'd only driven for Uber for about 8 months, but I'd been driving the majority of it in Austin, because Austin is a town that, for some odd reason, it's very condensed and there's a lot more people in the area, so you have a higher rate of always being on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, this movie is a perfect example of like, this is why you want to live a clean life. You want to live a life where, like, you plan ahead and you budget and you do smart adult things. Because if not, you're going to be like little Rona trying to fucking sell fucking pharmacy grade Tylenol as ecstasy. The fuck,
Well,
man?
in a way, you know what? Honestly, I think I know a few people who've done stuff like that, because it just seemed plausible. and it seemed believable. And I've never done it, but I've seen people at parties popping pills that people just hand them, like, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's why I wouldn't even let people make me a drink. I'd always go because I didn't trust anyone. I thought everybody was out, to get you drunk or get you pop a pill and make you pass out. All because my mom would tell us, these horror stories, don't do this, don't let them do that. If you're at a restaurant, that's one thing, but, don't let other people do that for you. So we just never, as far as I know, I don't remember my sisters, but I never let anybody do that. I always go up to the bar and get my drink, that kind of stuff. So I don't know, but it seemed plausible that you could walk around and like that car that she got in with the flowers on her head, like she'd done this before, because she said she was putting that crown on like she was a flower child or something, and then she was able to get the nerdy guy that had a car full of friends to get in there and make them think that she was getting them high when she was giving them like chewable aspirin and stuff. So I thought that was funny. I laughed a little bit at the way they were acting in the car. I thought that was believable, a very believable scene that could be plausible.
The majority of this movie is happening right now.
Oh yeah,
in various parts of the country.
25 years after the fact. This is a solid
nothing
film on drug culture. Like I said earlier, my friends and I, we never did half the shit that you see in the movie. We stayed in our lane. We hung out with specific friends. So
the few times that
minimized the amount of trauma.
I found out some things about myself on narcotics. One, I really like the rush that LSD gives you, because it just feels like you're experiencing everything like more intensely, like 10 times more intense than normal. I really enjoyed that, I'm not gonna lie. And then secondly,
Down is pretty dirty though. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
That's why it's organic.
I took some sleeping pills on my come down from LSD, and like they thought I died, because for like 36 hours I'm on leave in Joplin, Missouri with my friend Gary from the USN, and we did this while on leave. And then I took sleeping pills because I heard the come down was rough. And about 36 hours into it, I'm kicked. My feet are kicked. I'm not kicked inside or anything. But he's like, "Are you dead?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You've been asleep for 36 hours. And that's when like 36 hours of like stored pain and like suffering, and all of a sudden the poop that I have coming, like everything hits me at once. And like, I gotta go to the bathroom. That's what I gotta go do. And the fact that I stayed in bed, didn't poop or pee myself for 36 hours, that should be like a good record, because I didn't have to, use the bathroom. I wasn't woken up by anything.
yeah.
As an adult male, like in your
freaking
50s or 40s, you'd kill to be able to go 4 hours without having to poop or pee. But I'm just saying that things have changed as I've gotten older. And this movie just reminded me of so many mistakes I made in my youth, which there's a lot of them. But
yeah, this is the hippie culture of my little neck of the woods. The ravers would go up to the city to do their thing at the warehouses and along the coast, where the beach patrol wouldn't hit the normal beaches. Other thing.
See, part of me says that sounds kind of fun, and then the other part of me that remembers getting high in the woods and then going to Joplin, which is in the Ozarks, and hitting the Ozarks while on LSD, and then going and watching Blade Runner as the final moments of the high, the final hours of the high eclipsed. I really enjoyed that, but I do have to say that riding in the front seat of a Mack truck on LSD, going through the Ozarks back to where we're staying, that was a blast. I'd never experienced any form of speed like that ever in my life. And that guy, the driver we had, was just crazy as hell. It wasn't me. This was before I was a licensed CDL operator, but he was really good. And then when we got back, we just sat there and watched the Wall, and then we watched Blade Runner, and then after that, okay, I can feel like whatever it was, the joys left my body. I'm going to go to sleep for a while and like try to weather this differently, because everybody else was just going to try to eat their way through it or do various other things, and I thought, no, that doesn't sound fun. And at the time I was on some drugs, some pharmaceuticals called cybergenics, and so I had gone from like 120 pounds to 150 pounds, and mostly muscle. So I thought I'll just sleep and I'll weather it. When I get up, I'll eat. I've got ham, we've got turkey. I'll be able to be okay. But man, waking up and like having everything flush out, and then being hungry afterwards, I do remember that. But this movie just shows you all the wrong things that could happen, and I really enjoyed it more than what I thought I did. Now, the worst part of the film I thought was Rona's story. Sorry.
Yeah, but the part that I thought was the stupidest, or really was just not needed, was the part with the guy that showed up to like he was a cop or something. It made her feel weird, So she went in the bathroom and poured down the toilet.
Yeah.
That guy. And then when they were sitting at the table and him and his wife were talking about this company that they're working for and how much money they'd made, that really struck a chord, because I had like 5 people I knew during that time, in the late 90s, I guess, that were all involved in Amway, and they were like, do you need light bulbs, or do you need salt? Do you need toilet paper? They were constantly trying to get me to buy stuff from them, and I was like, no, I'm okay. It was just, that part was really funny, and I did laugh when they were like, you're wanting us to sell Amway. I cracked up laughing because that was real.
Trying to sell me that shit, and then trying to get me to work for Quickstar. I was like, nope, I'm good.
I have a confession to make. I had 2 downlines with like 4 people each in Quickstar.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I just got tired of it because I had to run out every night. Every night I was out driving an hour away recruiting people for this. And for 3 people I'd talk to, one would join up. And they last like 3 months. And then they get tired of it. Maybe they didn't see the money turnover or whatever it was, but they just quit, which I understood. Like, if you don't have money, you don't have money. But after like 8 months of that, I was like needing to fix my truck and, get some things worked on myself. And then my upline was like, why aren't you working so hard for us? And then they just fucking vanished on me. Like, they didn't want to help me out. They didn't want to like help me with an oil change or something. And I was like, really? I've been your main workhorse on this side of the state for over half a year. You fucking leave me out to fuck you, And I feel really bad. I felt really bad about the people I recruited, and like they went further in debt. And I felt really bad about that. I did get them recruited into another multi-level marketing system called Primerica, which was not Amway, but it was selling financial products for people. Like if you needed life or health, if you needed a mortgage, if you needed investments, Primerica was a really good way to go at the time. And they had really good returns. Like
there were lots of pyramid schemes going on.
That one was
in the 90s and early 2000s down in New Orleans for sure. I mean, it seemed like everyone was in something, something like that. And that the guy at the very top made all the money. And as long as you were working at getting people underneath you, you would make a few dollars. But the thing is, I even tried it once, and it was, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was baking products, like pans and bowls. Yeah, it was I'm trying to remember the name of it. And you'd have parties, and I would get people to book a party. It was something bakers, or I can't remember. I'd have to look it up, but that's what it reminded me of. And I did do that, and I made some money. I made a few $100s a month, off of it. But man, honestly, it was like Mary Kay or any of those things. You have to do it every single day, all day long. It's like these people on Twitter right now, or X, That's all they do. They sit and they tweet and they tweet and they tweet and they tweet and they reply and they retweet and they tweet and they tweet, and they get mad at each other because let's say I'm on like 7 different platforms and I'll see a post on let's say Snapchat and I think it's cute, so I'll share it, okay, on my X, or I'll share it on Instagram, and then I'll get a message from someone on X saying, "Why did you steal my thing from X?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I said, I tweeted that yesterday, and you didn't even share it or anything. And I said, "Well, I didn't see it, but I saw it on Snapchat." Well, yeah, sure you did. And then they block you, and I'm not even monetized or anything. It's ridiculous. I mean, how stupid it is. And that's why I laughed about it, because they're at this table. And this whole time I was thinking he was a cop and he was trying to set them up, to catch them selling drugs or buying drugs or something like that. And the whole time they were looking at him to maybe sell products. So I thought that whole thing was just hilarious. And the fact that I knew so many people that were involved in those pyramid schemes too. And a lot of people had the garage filled full of shit, to sell to other people because, this one's going to sell, because your person above you or 2 tiers above you would say, if you had a lot of toilet paper or light bulbs or different things like that, that's something people need all the time, and you can sell it really quickly, this kind of stuff. So it's like people had tons of stuff in their house, filled with that junk.
What I liked about Quickstar was you got everything off the web, so you didn't have to have like a storage shed full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to, you could, but there was no need for that. And I mean, I was able to buy tires for my truck off that site comparably to what I could buy from like a Black Friday sale at the time, which was kind of impressive. But they were doing a special to rope me in and use their credit card. And like I said later on, I was able to dig myself out of debt a little bit with Primerica, because Primerica was life insurance and mortgages. And at the time, mortgages, we had like a 0.5 to a 0.75% commission fee. Plus there were headhunter rewards that we got from our big boss in Springfield. And so like I was able to mostly unbury myself, and I was really happy with it. I just wish I would have had a better immediate supervisor in Primerica. Instead, I had this shyster that thinks he's a preacher now. Guess what minority he belongs to? But he thinks that he's something special and that he should be able to sleep with everybody and his wife, and it's caused him nothing but personal grief, which always makes me rub my hands together like that man behind the tree in the yellow suit, because just hearing about this piece of shit, like I live for the spite, okay? As much as you guys might think like Bruce could be a good person, no. I've given up on being a good person. I'm going to live by spite. It's fun. It's good. It's going to provide me laughs. Fuck everybody's feelings. And I really enjoy hearing about shitheads like that getting their just desserts. But I got to say that when they're sitting around the table doing this and they're talking about the Amway shit,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put that together just yet. When he said the name of the company, I thought he was talking about Costco or the previous version of Costco, and they're talking about like having to sell the membership to Costco, and I thought that's what initially it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I cackled about that, and then when I figured out like they're doing Amway, oh my god, yeah, I laughed really good.
I just thought it was, you could either sell, chewable aspirin to dumb kids at a rave for $20, okay, and really you're helping them because they're not taking real ecstasy in a way, or you can sell people Amway. You see what I mean? To me,
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. It showed multiple different points of view of different people and how they handle the situation about whether it was drugs or whether it was owing someone money or multiple different things, which I thought was really funny. And I like the fact that they showed it in 3 different points of view, pretty much the same hours, the same day of the events and how it affected them. the different things and their interactions with different people. So I thought that was, I just thought it was a really cute concept for them to have done that. And honestly, I think this movie could be made today. I don't think you'd have to do that much. And
No,
the way that they, I mean, it seemed flawless to me. I mean, honestly, because you didn't really need to do that much with the sets or the clothing, the hairstyles. I mean, everything seemed like you could take it from there and put it right into today, and it would fit. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it that way, but I definitely saw it that way. Same thing
Peter
with the
Carr was kind of a personal touch. It reminded
what?
me of I had an '87 Nissan Sentra that was a beater car, kind of like that yellow car that
Yeah.
they were in. Stuff.
hmm But just the way that the people were in Vegas, the way that they're acting at the rave, just the little things like that. It could be today. It could be right now. It could be down the road. In any town, any city. To me, at least in Vegas, has always been the same way. Basically, it flashy lights, lots of people, people gambling, all the different things seem believable to me. And now you're right, the music could be more updated, things like that. But honestly, the music didn't really take you out of the movie. It kind of went along with the movie to me. If you're at a rave, you're not going to be listening to all the top 40. You know what I mean? You're going to be playing the music that whoever's in charge of the music, probably what they think everyone wants to listen to, that type of thing. So you're going to have a mixture. You're going to have some rap, you're going to have some country, and you're going to have a little bit of pop. It's just going to be a mixture of music to get people to party and dance and drink. That's what the whole reason of it is for, for a rave, for people to have fun. And you're going to have the dum dums that are going to just walk around and take pills from anybody that hands them to them. I just, and that's still going on today. I'm telling you right now, I've seen it at quite a few parties. I've even seen people come out with a tray with stuff sitting on it, joints or whatever else, and they would make people pay them so much money or whatever for what was on the tray. But I was never interested in that, but I've seen people do it, so it seemed plausible to me.
I cannot confirm nor subject.
But what do you think? You don't think that you could take this script and make this movie today?
No, I think I was going to say before I got dropped, this type of thing is still relevant subject wise. The MacGuffin is the drug,
sex, random sexual interludes, which you see all the time now.
Sex, drugs, alcohol,
booze. Yeah.
you got the wallflower.
Mm-hmm.
You got the shyster. You got the
gangsters, basically.
Adventurous type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Victor Senior. He was in Alien Resurrection, right?
Mm-hmm.
He played one of the scientists. He played an Optimus. His son is the dopey son that do the gangster shit.
And the whole part where the young girl that he was asking her earlier in the movie if she was a virgin, because she just kind of was like sitting there, didn't know how to react or what to do. She was very unexperienced, and I thought she did a really good job at portraying her part as a person that was very unexperienced when it came to certain things, but she was inquisitive. She was watching, paying attention, and she was intrigued by a lot of things, but she didn't know how to react to it. At least that's how she came across. Katie Holmes' character came across to me as a first-time person watching this movie, and I thought she did a phenomenal job at that portraying that part. And the gentleman that ended up being the drug dealer guy at the beginning, Timothy Olyphant, is that how you say his name?
Oliphant.
Yeah, he did a really good job too as being believable as just some guy that's just trying to make money, an easy way to make some money, because there's always going to be some dumb that wants to sell drugs for him, you know what I mean? And he doesn't even have to do anything, they just come to him simply because they know his name, and they've purchased a drug in the past or something like that from one of the people that sold it, right? So I bet he hardly had to leave his apartment to sell it. He just dish it out and just threaten people, scare them, act all, puff out his chest and act like he's the bad guy. And that whole scene where you see him making out with her on the stairs, and it's very sexy and it's getting hot and steamy. And then all of a sudden he said, it's having some fun down there. I see, the other guy above him. So I just thought it was very believable. About the randomness of how they went about interacting with each other and stuff, and how she was wanting to branch out and try something for herself, as her character arc, as she blossoms into a more open woman and wanting to experience some of the things that she's watching all of her friends do. And not so much as jumping into the drugs, because I didn't see her wanting to do drugs or anything, but to experience what it was like.
More of the social thing,
She was more wanting to experience what it was like to sleep with a hot guy that she didn't really know, that type of thing. So I don't know. I just thought it was very believable. All the things, the interactions, some of them were a little over the top about, that would be really hard to happen. But honestly, now that Bruce brought that to my attention about the young girls they were bridesmaids, so that does say, maybe they would have done something like that because they want to take back an experience of their own that they can talk about later. Like I was saying, that the 3-part series of this movie, basically I liked, because you have the one girl the one that all this bad shit's happened to her. She's getting evicted. She got bitchy assholes. They're going through her checkout line. And then you got this disgusting dweeb British guy that's constantly wanting her, putting mistletoe above his penis, all this different stuff, because she's sick of him, and he works there and she has to put up with his shit. So she doesn't see him the same way as some of these other women might see him if he's dressed nice and he's talking and saying certain things because of his sexy accent or whatever. And these were drunk bridesmaids. So
bridesmaids,
I could see that might work, because I took my mom to see Tom Jones, and there was a group of bridesmaids like 2 tables from us that were right by the stage, and they were taking panties and stuff and throwing them up on stage and stuff. So, and they were all drinking, hooping and hollering. So yeah, I could see that maybe, a couple of them might say, hey, he's cute, let's go get high and get stoned. But then they set the room on fire. I was laughing my ass off for that whole thing. He was just laying there like he was in La La Land.
He's got his rich, and then the house burns down, or the apartment burns down, and
yeah, it was scary. It was like, is it real? So for a little bit there, I was thinking that he had stomped it out. So when he was looked over and he saw the curtains catching on fire, I was like, did it relight, or is this in his imagination? Because he was like in euphoria kind of thing. I think he was, high or whatever, and he was thinking about it, but it wasn't real, so I didn't know for sure. And all of a sudden the girl's going to town and she starts screaming at the top of her lungs because the whole room is engulfed in flames. So, and then you saw a lot of boobs and ass running around because she's trying to figure out how to get those curtains down. So I was laughing. That was one of the funniest scenes in the movie, next to the whole conversation in the truck, or with the guys in their old car. That was funny. So those 2 scenes to me were the funniest ones. Sorry.
Warrior Princesses.
There's a phenomenon that got really popular about the same time that Jägermeister came into the popular party scene. Mm-hmm. And there might have been like something before this, but I want to say around my mid to upper 20s, the Jaeger girls that would go to the bars and like just order Jaeger shots for all the girls, and they would like just slam them back, and then like if you were within like 25 feet, you're in danger of getting absorbed into this pack of wildebeest and then taken off and milked like a cow or a bull. But
Yeah.
like we call them woo girls. And then it was funny because How I Met Your Mother made that, they stole our phrase.
Mhm.
But woo girls was a thing we used
Basically.
to say and talk about in 2004, 2006, quite a bit in the dead center of Illinois, because there were a bunch of dumb farmer girls that they would go to the same like 2 or 3 dive bars in Springfield and maybe Champaign. The farm girls, not the college girls, the farm girls. They would go and they would slam this nasty stuff down their gullets, and then like you'd have an event. If you were too close, you'd have an event with them. Your random encounter, like you didn't have high enough movement rate to get away, and that would happen to you. I'm not trying to equate this to D&D.
No, but
Jaeger
I
Meister
had lots
was
of guy
like the,
friends that told me that they were going to the
if
club, and I'm
NyQuil
like,
was an alcohol, it'd be Jaeger.
it's after 11:30. Why'd you waiting so late to get dressed to go out to the club? Because we'd be sitting around like eating takeout or whatever, watching a movie, and they'll say, well, that's when the girls are really starting to get drunk. And I was like, huh? And he goes, that way it doesn't cost you as much money to get laid. And I was like, you cheap bastards, is what that's all I said to him. So they go and they wait. They said they just stand around near a table near the bar and they watch some of the girls. And then towards the very end of the night, like 1 a.m, after they've been drinking, they'll go up to the tables and ask them to dance a slow dance. And then they said that's how they would find out which girls were really plastered to take home. And I was like, oh, I don't know. So I learned a lot from my guy friends about who not to let me buy me drinks, or who not to dance with.
I've been living on easy mode for years, and we have a place down on St. Mary's Strip called it used to be called Hard Bodies. I don't know what it's called now, but it's a place where women could go and watch the male review do their thing. And so, like, what you do is you go there about midnight, and they used to have picnic tables by the taco truck, and it was sad because the city pulled up the picnic tables. They said they weren't clean or whatever. But the taco truck is still there, and you would go and you just hang outside.
Masses of people hover up.
And you like you find one girl, one cute one stumbles out of there, and she's kind of waggling along towards the sidewalk, and that's when you make your move. You just go right on in, you knife hand it in, and you're like, hey,
like a predatory.
Look a little soused. You want to go talk about it? And you go take her to the taco truck, and you buy her food, and you end up, she pays for your Uber with her on the way back to her place. This is not difficult. The pickup artist game is not a secret club. You don't have to be in the top 20%. It's the location. I'm telling you.
For than the person you're picking up.
Exactly. That's all you have to do. And just have the wherewithal to understand like what you're doing is like, this is someone's daughter. Have that in the back of your head. Like Jiminy Cricket. But that was something I learned in San Antonio, because San Antonio is easy mode. It really is. Like, just talk nice. That's all you have to do. Like
in my hometown, we had the Red Room. The Red Room was the college bar. That's where all the hot Russian co-ed, all the university girls, and it was just too competitive, which was the gay. On certain nights, they would have all females dancing in the back. And so they didn't want to be hassled by the meat market at the Red Room. Would go to the Blue, have their drink. And a couple of times my girlfriend went, I have to get liquored up to cut a rug. So
Yeah.
we go there. Her friends are there. They're doing their thing. And I had to go to the bar and ask the guy to give me 3 fingers of Bacardi 151 straight up because I got to go dance. I want to make sure that everyone's having a safe time, but at the same time,
Mhm.
I got to be somewhat sober enough to get a taxi for us. And so we would go there to dance. I would get liquored up, go out on the floor, do my thing, and I noticed that the majority of the girls there were actually straight, and it dawned on me that is the ideal place if you're a single guy.
Mhm.
Go to the gay bar on women's night. You'll have a better chance. Be an asshole about it.
That's right. We would go.
Be smooth.
My girlfriends and I, we would go to a couple clubs, and they were gay. There were gay bars, and they would have like drag shows, like the drag show. And then after the drag show, they would have like ladies night, where like drinks were half price and stuff like that. And we would go and hang out at, just like you said, hang out and dance and drink and have a good time. And it was nice because sometimes you just got tired of the grabbing and the groping, all that kind of stuff. And you just wanted to laugh and hang out with your friends. And every so often we would meet a guy that was just there with other friends, and he wasn't gay, but they were, to see the show. And, you get phone numbers of nice guys and then you knew that they would get along with your friends. So if you had some friends that were, bisexual or gay or whatever, that the guy that you're going to go out with on a date didn't have a problem with it if you met him at a gay bar, right? So I could that made sense to me, that type of stuff. But the one thing I had a problem with this movie was trying to pay attention to each of the characters as they were introduced and what their reason was for being in the movie. Sorry, I'm getting a dry spot in my throat, but it was the character arcs that I didn't see developing. Nobody seemed to learn anything. The only one to me that achieved any kind of arc was the what was her name?
The Wallflower Claire.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone else went right back to their normal self. Except, well, even the kid that took the drugs that was stuck in the garbage can area all night, he didn't learn anything because he was ready when he got in the car and he said, well, so what are we doing on New Year's? So, he just spent the whole evening drugged out of his gourd, spaced out, seeing, weird shit, dancing with a old lady that was checking groceries and stuff and eating bananas and shit. It was funny. I laughed during all that too. But that was the only thing. There really wasn't any learning curve for any of them, even though they were all making really stupid decisions in their lives. So that was kind of sad about it.
Yeah, this isn't like an education, like warning, don't do this.
Yeah, definitely. I would tell my friends, hope you watch this movie and learn something from it, what not to do if you want to not die.
The champagne.
But the fact that that was what I was trying to find, a champagne glass, and I couldn't find one. I was going to hold it, but
I thought this movie was really well done. Doug Liman is a very talented director. He understood the assignment fairly well. The one thing I found kind of interesting is that at the start of the movie, we are shown Rona's place of business where she works at, that little rundown store.
Mm-hmm.
And this was supposed to be where we meet her, and it's not supposed to look in the tippity top shape. It's supposed to look like it's been past its prime. Rona does a good job of just kind of moving around, and the camera does a good job of pivoting around, following her through the corridors and into the customer area and back in the break room, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I enjoyed about reading about this, was that they gave money to the owner of the store because they want to film there. And so the owner of the store is like, oh my God, let me get this started up for you. And he starts working on it, starts doing all the stuff. And here comes Doug Liman he's like, no, no. He gets
You want it dumpy.
he gets some people in there to dumpy it up a bit, like it was when they first arrived, and he showcases that. He's like, we'll restore it once we're done, but we wanted to pick this because this is the ideal look that we had for this movie. You don't need it shiny and chrome. And so they had to go back in and like drag it down a little bit, then film it. And then when they left, they sent the carpenters back in to fix up the way that he had restored it or treated it with awe and reverence or respect or whatever you want to say. But I found that to be quite funny. And I've seen that happen with various things here in the community where I live now in San Antonio. Whenever there's been a film project going on, people immediately start dumping money into something, and here comes the DP, and they're like, "Don't do that. Don't."
Well, a few of the things that I've been involved in, they have a location scout that goes out and they take pictures from outside, inside, trying to find what the director is looking for different scenes, of the movie. And then they go back and they show them it and they'll pick out what they like. But also, it's not just that. They find a store or a business that they want to use in there. They also have to have somewhere very close by for parking, for like the wardrobe, RV, all the different things they're going to need. Crafty. They got to have a place to set up a tent. Whatever it is that they're going to be doing for the scene itself. How many characters are going to be filmed there? There's a lot of other things that go in along with that. But also, I've seen them go into people's homes because a lot of people will take pictures of their basement, their outside of their home and things like that, and put them online in certain areas so that you can shop your house basically to be used in movies. If you have the house that it's big enough to accommodate a lot of people going in and out, lots of cables and lighting and stuff like that. But and they'll go in and they'll redo it. They'll go in and they'll take cabinets out, move things around, and then they'll put them back up again. And have professionals come in and fix it up, make it look really good. So it just depends, because if you've got a basement that looks like it's from right out of the 1970s, I would say take pictures of it and put it online, because it could be in a movie one day. That's a unique thing that they're looking for, because it's cheaper to go in and use someone's basement than it is to build a whole new set or something, depending on if there's anything else around there that they're going to use, or if it's close enough where it's not going to cost them an arm and a leg to put people up in hotels and things like that. So I thought that they did a really good job at making everything believable. All the sets, the scenery, where they were. When they did the scenes from Vegas, it really seemed like they were possibly in Las Vegas to me.
A lot of this movie was filmed with guerrilla style. He didn't have a lot of permits. He didn't have a lot of permit money to do things. What he had money to do was pay his crew and his cast to overtime. Mm-hmm. So he did that a lot. But he did not go out and ask for permission to film at a lot of various places. A lot of the stuff you see in Vegas is on the street with a handheld or shoulder-fitted camera, where they're doing things like in.
Yeah, we did those. We did a few things like that. And what we did was we took these prop-up little signs, and it said, "If you pass this, you will be filmed," or whatever, you will be on camera. And mm-hmm. we'd set them up and stuff like that. And then after the person walked through, there'd be a person at the end, an AD on either end, and they would say, would you sign this? Make them sign it, since they walked through the scene, even though, and then a lot of people would just go around because they didn't want to be in there or whatever. But, there's lots of ways to work around all that type of stuff, depending on, what type of stuff's going to be. Now, if they were going to have explosions or a car crash and things like that, that would all have to be done with, stunt people and things like that. So it just depends on what type of scene you're filming. But I just thought it was very believable. I mean, it looked like just regular everyday people interacting. That's why I was surprised that the movie didn't make more money and that I'd never heard of it, because it had so many names in it,
Well, their names now. William Fichtner was not a big draw back in 1999.
But you just said that the director had a hit before that, what, stripping or
1996.
something.
That's
Yeah.
barely enough time for it to get any dust on it at Blockbuster.
Mhm.
Keep that in mind. He was only in the game really for 3 years or 2 years when this is coming out.
It's
Yeah,
just
this is,
interesting. The
Infinity.
casting was able to get this many talented people to be in this one movie, and none of them were very big yet.
Well, Tay Diggs is in it, and he was fresh off of the Broadway series Rent. Melissa McCarthy is that
Yes.
who I saw?
Uh-huh.
This is her first film.
Yeah.
Got Sarah Polley. She's very, very well known up in Canada at this point, but barely known in America. Timothy Olyphant. This is the first movie I've seen him in chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
I did value him in Hitman. I did like his role in that. He did good. But I was really surprised that somebody else mentioned Hitman, because that's not a movie that I watch with a particular amount of pride. It's a good action movie. It's a popcorn flick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a movie I want to watch and be like, well, if you come over tonight with your finest 3-piece outfit, Six Nations, we're going to be watching the fine caliber film Hitman.
I liked Hitman. I went to see that, and I thought he was really good in it. I thought it was a very well done movie. But that's what I'm saying. That was the first movie I ever saw with him in it, where I recognized, that this guy is going to be in other movies, because
Six Nations.
I liked him in this movie, but what really sold me on Timothy was Justified. Like, that was absolutely one of his finest roles.
Which one?
Justified.
The television series. I just loved him, and I thought he was just really good. He did another movie after Justified, a TV series, something about Las Vegas or something. I just thought the whole show was stinky.
Now,
I don't remember the name of it.
He was in Die Hard 4, and I thought he did pretty good with Die Hard 4.
I didn't see that one yet.
It's not part of the Holy Trilogy. Okay.
Yeah. I saw it at the drive-in.
That's Die Hard 4.
It was okay.
He was in
the original trilogy.
Vin Diesel. He was in Dreamcatcher. Holy shit, he was in Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
He was in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And like before that, he really wasn't in a whole lot of stuff. He was in the First Wives Club, which we'll never watch on this show.
Why not?
Now, watching this movie,
we like watching movies I enjoy, or movies like
you already saw the First Wives Club.
I found that movie to be boring as hell.
I think I saw that movie, but I really don't remember that much about it.
A Bette Midler film about divorcees. Yeah, sounds like ejaculation material there.
So it's definitely a woman's movie.
Yeah, Diane.
I had
Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn.
Flashback of American
Was that
Beauty.
the one where they were falling apart and they had a morgue boyfriend that used to fix them up? It was the guy from Die Hard. He was in it. I can't remember his name right this second. No. He's married to Demi Moore, where he was.
No, it's not Bruce Willis in this movie.
Okay, Bruce Willis was the one that fixed him up. It was.
That's not this movie.
Okay. He used powers or something on them and made them look beautiful, even though they were falling apart. Something. I can't remember the name of it.
So watching this movie go, and having the drug culture and all that of American Beauty, and how creepy space to the kid to get his dope from.
Mm-hmm.
That was the same guy from Yellowstone who played the son, who was the lawyer later on. That was a young role of his, because I was reflecting back on how it was in this film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looked really young.
Like how he's progressed.
Looked really young, but he was cute. I mean, he's attractive. So
Well, according to Katie Holmes, he was only a mid.
he was only a what?
Only a mid.
He was only a mid. So like 6. Probably because he was a drug dealer and
Mhm.
she didn't really care for criminal types. Although they were bumping uglies later on.
Well, I don't know. I thought that the people that whoever the casting director was, they did a really good job at picking each person to portray those different characters. Because the characters were, as I watched the movie unfold, I believe that they could be those people. You know what I mean? And the scene that
Yeah, it
they
was-
did where the car ran over her while she was standing there thinking she's about to be shot was freaking realistic to me. They did a really good
Granted,
job.
it was a Miata. There wasn't any real damage. Just some bruises and some cuts.
Well, it was still believable to me, the whole thing.
For 13 months, the Crafting Gamer has been a member of this channel at the Somehow I Have a Fan level. If you do appreciate what we do here, that's what I tell you. Go for the dollar amount. Don't go for the $10 amount. We only have one of those. He's in a special position, and he's in a. Flady's also one of those guys that if like he ever called me up at 3 a.m, I'd ask him what's going on because like it's Flady.
Mhm.
Crafting Gamer, I would probably answer the phone with too, but I mean, I don't expect people to get memberships. That's awesome. Thank you, sir. You did not have to do that, and I appreciate it truly.
He's a good guy.
He is. I have some kind of breaking news here. I don't really want to detract from our award-winning conversation on this drug culture movie, which I really enjoyed more than what I probably should have. But Jimmy Carter died.
Really?
Yeah.
Finally,
Yeah, he apparently died, and they
I mean-
reported at the quarter after mark in the 3 o'clock hour Central Standard Time.
other than dirt.
Yeah, he was at the century mark, which I got to say that he did pretty good making it this far. Rosalind died back in November. The fact he was holding on for whatever reason, God rest his soul.
I really agree with him, but he did do Habitat, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, he
Oh,
tried.
Wasn't he the peanut president or whatever?
He was a peanut farmer.
Yeah,
He also got
him and
attacked
his bro,
by
Billy.
he got attacked by a wild French lop in the wild, and then he killed it with an oar because he was out in the lake at the time. The rabbit was rabid apparently swimming towards him furiously, and he whacked it with an oar. And then he also is one of the few presidents that filled out a UFO sighting report.
Mhm.
Go ahead, try to prove me wrong, look him up. But that's things that Jimmy Carter did that were not involving tanking the country. Like I said, God rest his soul. He tried. He did some pretty good things. I don't think he was a really bad person. I just think that the way he went about things.
Well, you got to remember, it's just like any other president. It's who they have around them
Yeah,
that influences them. So if he'd had a different group of people, he might have made a lot more better choices.
I mean, the first round we
Be a
had.
naive statement, but I think it's more rotten now than it was during his time. Like it was probably pretty bad, but now we got all this wonderful to launder money, various things.
Yep. But
You had to actually work for your grift back then.
yeah, my mom liked a lot of things that he did. That he was very personable and things like that. That he was a true blue Democrat, whatever that means. My mom said that a lot. But you got to remember, my mother was from Texas, and most of her family were Democrats, almost all of them. So,
Really,
The Southern.
I think so. But my mother was definitely conservative and a Republican. I never heard her talk about ever voting Democratic, but I don't think it was anything. I never ever heard my mother talking with her parents about politics ever. So,
And my
Okay,
granddad
so
was a Democrat for a long time, and then he switched to Republican.
I've never heard of that
And most
movie.
of my family is conservative.
I'm going to Google it right now because I love bad movies.
Yes, he does.
A gnome named
Terror
Norm?
Train was it.
I actually today I watched Pandorum again,
Mm-hmm.
and that movie
That is
still
dumb.
holds up. A Troll in
Pandorum
Central
wasn't a
Park.
real bad movie, though.
I think you rated that movie higher than you rated Midnight Meat Train.
Yeah, it definitely was better than Midnight Meat Train. I just said Terror Train, but that's another movie I would like to watch. The one with Jamie Lee Curtis, and it has David Copperfield's in it for a very short time, and it's a very well made, I thought, horror movie that deserves.
What was
us
that?
to watch.
Virus?
I think it was called Terror Train.
I'm thinking of the boat with the organic Russian monster thing.
I don't know.
I actually have found a Troll in Central Park. I'm going to make sure that that's the proper runtime because it says an hour and 12 minutes. Is that right?
Hmm?
That's a short movie.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like an hour and 13 minutes, hour and 12 minutes. Wow. Okay, that's on the list, sir.
Yeah, it sounds
You
interesting.
could almost do a twofer.
It's a Don Bluth film, so automatically it's
Doesn't
going
he
to
do animal movies?
He does. He does really good animal movies.
So I wonder if the troll is a really an animal, not a troll. I don't know. I have to see the movie trailer to find out.
We will have Janet see Troll in Central Park. That'll probably be one of our February films.
I hope he'll join us too. Talk about it.
The other movie, oh yes, Night of the Lupus. I have to put that in there.
Yeah, we haven't
We're
seen
going
that
to watch
yet. It's about the one about the rabbits.
Genetically engineered bunnies.
DeForest Kelly's finest role.
He's in it.
Up there with
Yes.
Attack of the Killer Shrews.
Well, I was a little kid when I
Food of
watched
the
it. And I
Gods.
remember my dad brought us rabbits home. Not, a few months later, and we were like, we don't want them, Mom. So,
One of my first pets was a rabbit. Little white bunny, named him Thumper.
but what was sad was my dad was jungle survival, right? So when he would bring home random pets, rabbits or rats, okay, all the babies, they would all go to work with my dad. And he'd feed them to the snakes and stuff where he worked. So he never had to worry about him having, us having 100 rabbits or anything. But that's when we decided, well, maybe we shouldn't get another pet like that.
I'm not a fan of rabbits. That's all I'm going to say.
I've eaten rabbit. Rabbit tastes pretty good.
They taste all right. That's where I can go with that. Yes. They're very nutritious. If you guys have seen the movie Go from 1999, go ahead and put your fan your very very legitimate critiques of it in the chat. No matter if it's thumbs up, thumbs down, 99%, 5 stars, A+, or C+, whatever it is, however you rate it, put it in the chat. I'll have Janet read this off for you because I think this movie warrants some discussion. I think this is a film that you actually could watch yourself and really get some enjoyment out of it, and that's really that's something I think a filmmaker or cast member would want to hear.
Yeah, I recommend any young couple that has young children right now to watch it, just in the fact to realize what goes on in with teenagers. So we be prepared. No, I'm just kidding, because I'm sure if
Yeah,
they're
I was
young, have young kids,
22
they've
when
been
I
there.
saw it, so it still resonated well with me when I first saw it.
Mhm.
Seeing it 25 years later, I'm now getting closer to Get Off My Lawn. So there's a little bit here and there.
Mhm.
Like I didn't really care for the soundtrack. Not to say the soundtrack, but it was out of my current tastes. And back then, like I really liked Deep Purple, so that was cool. The rest of it was like in the background. I didn't really key into the soundtrack, but it's not to say that the soundtrack was bad. Um, on a D, easily 70s, upper 70s.
Mhm.
It's a good film. It's not blah. It's actually got some funny parts. It hits the drug culture perfectly.
Mhm.
You get to see some young actors and actresses before they and the dialogue was really cool. The way that they were bouncing conversations off. It was almost Tarantino-esque in that way. It's a good film. I recommend people watch it and make a popcorn movie night out of the whole ordeal.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I thought the movie was very entertaining. I really, to me, it didn't, say, oh, I gotta, this isn't what I want to see or anything like that. I thought it was very lifelike. It seemed very believable, the characters. Now, there wasn't really a single character that I just pulled out and said, oh, I really can connect with that character. But I did like certain aspects of different characters and how they interacted with each other. The whole best friends with the four guys that were in the car that were constantly talking about their penises and women and their escapades, they really came across to me on screen as real friends. Like I don't know, they just seemed like they really got along. That they had good chemistry with each other. The way that they badmouthed each other, all that stuff, it seemed very believable to me for the guys. And I really do think this movie could be made today with very little taken out and changed to fit today's young people, because I really believe that it was very believable about what it's like to be in your 20s, your early 20s, and having to get out on your own and pay your way and work and fit in partying along with trying to be responsible to have your own place. But it also was believable to me for the part where they don't learn from their mistakes. So that's what made it so real to me, is the way that they interacted with each other and the way that they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. That's real life, and it really does represent that. I think even today, can even how old is this movie? You said 20 something years.
No, yeah, it's 25 years old this year.
Wow, it really does. You can take this movie and set it in today, and there really hasn't. We haven't learned very much, have we, as humans? You know what I mean? But I do
Yeah,
believe it. I thought it was really good.
Have to be
Yeah,
done up in a different MacGuffin depending on your state.
yeah.
Like
But
more
I thought it was really good. I mean, the way they portrayed Vegas, and the way that they interacted with each other at the rave, the way that they interacted with each other at the business where she was working, even Katie Holmes's character, because she worked there too, apparently, uh, trying to help her friend, a little bit. Little things like that, the little subtle little innuendos here and there. Uh, I just thought was really believable. They did a really good job at playing believable characters that you could see, or that every one of us seems to know people like that, that type of thing. I'm going to give it an 8.5 stars out of 10 because I really thought it was a enjoyable movie. It wasn't as good as some other movies that I've watched with this many different characters in it, but the way that they interacted with each other was believable. It wasn't boring. I did laugh like 3 or 4 times over different situations that went on in there because it was like, oh my God, that's so realistic. Things like that. But the only thing that bummed me out was the fact that they didn't have better character arcs for the characters. You really only had one character that actually learned anything throughout the movie, to me. Well, I don't know. Timothy Olyphant, his character kind of learned something. He realized that, to me, seemed like he realized that maybe it's time for him not to be in this type of work anymore. You know what I mean? He seemed like he was getting run down and ready to do something different with his life. He was starting to grow up or something. It kind of rubbed off on me. They could have added a little more details and stuff like that for him, but really it was only Katie Holmes' character to me that really had an arc that actually achieved something at the end. So I would have given it a little higher score if a couple more people had learned from their mistakes. The one gentleman did
Rona's character, maybe.
he kind of felt bad because of them hitting the girl, but he pretty much had to kill someone before he decided he wanted to change what he was doing. You see what I mean? So to me, that really wasn't a good character arc for him either. But I do recommend, if you're an adult person or older teen and you want to watch this with your kid, to maybe show them what not to do and to learn from it. I think it might be a good movie to sit and watch with your older teenagers and talk to them about this. They really made some bad decisions. Hopefully you'll make better ones. That type of uh, thing to do with your teenagers. I think that would help you get them to see that you understand what people do and that you understand we're just human. That type of thing, to make it easier to talk to your kids about drugs. That might be a good opening, and it's a good movie. It was entertaining. I thought the soundtrack was really good. I liked it. I thought it fit the movie, and I thought the director did a good job at showing us what it might be like, to go through some of the scenarios that they had in here, and that's reality because it's happening right now every day in our cities, basically. So that's all I have to say about it. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
So
I just remembered a movie and I can't remember the name of it. Cripes. I'm gonna have to look, but it was kind of like a more serious version of Go.
Mm-hmm.
And when I figure out the name, I will recommend it to you.
For that one that we watched with the 5 guys and they had Christopher Walken in it and they kidnapped him.
Suicide Kings.
you're talking about Suicide Kings.
Yeah, Suicide Kings. And see, that was a similar to me when it came to, maybe having to deal with your friends in a bad situation and how you're going to handle it. But instead of it all happening at one time where they're all working on it, it was 3 different points of view from 3 different people. So they went about the way that they portrayed and showed what was going on differently. You could have done that with that other movie with the Christopher. What was his name again? Damn it, I messed up. Christopher Walken. That Christopher Walken movie, and showed us at different angles or different points of view from the different guys that were in that movie, and that would have been a pretty good way to have done that script too. But to me, it's like that. It's like a giving you a inside view, like inside seat, when you're sitting in the room with all these people while they're going through their their horrible decision making abilities, and some of them are thinking clearly and wanting to fix it, and then others are not. Others are just trying to push it under the rug, or kick the can down the road for others to have to deal with it. So that's basically what people are doing right now today. I mean, we're still seeing that. So even though we've come a long way when it comes to technology, honestly, humans haven't. We really haven't learned our lesson. Even from seeing so many people go through so much crap, we still think it's someone else's problem. It's just funny that it's been 25 years since this movie was out, but you could take this movie and put it right in any city, basically, and do it right now. I honestly do see it that way.
So I'm of the mindset, before I give my review, let me tell you what movie that we're going to be watching next week. Next week, we are watching a Barry Bostwick film. Janet might be excited about that until I say what it is.
Uh-oh.
We are watching a movie with Barry Bostwick, who's one of the very finest actors in Hollywood. It's got Lynn Shay in it, and it also has Ray Wise and Bruce McGill.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is none other than the 2012 spoof classic FDR American Badass.
Never heard of it.
This is a movie that I've been wanting to have Janet watch with us for over a year, because she says, I like independent movies. I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of independent. And it's just a fun fucking movie, but it has a budget of like $6. So we're gonna watch this movie next week. Come on into my Discord.
Sometimes
about
those are the best.
12:30. The wheelchair of death will be ridden, and like this movie here is one of my favorite bad movies. It's also a movie that every pathetic fucking 5th edition D&D player that forces the game to have them in it instead of them role playing something else. They're forcing their bullshit on the rest of us in the hobby.
Yeah.
And so if you're upset because like the wheelchair fuckers are no longer wanting to play big, buff, and strong people, now they want to be wheelchair warriors in your D&D game, this is the movie responsible for it, because this movie was a spoof. But these people took it as like, it's not satire, it's real, it's my real life. And I'm like, brain hurt, brain fog. Anyway, we're gonna watch this movie, and I've got a guaranteed stream on it. We're gonna watch it, directed by Garrett Braywith, written by Ross Peterson, a very funny man indeed. His podcast isn't as funny as I'd like it to be, but there's a few good chuckles every podcast I've listened to. Most comedians that have a podcast that are on the regular do not have a funny day every day. They will have like one or two good fucking original bits come out of their mouth for 30 seconds. And then it's just like talking about what I ate last night, and like they share their wife and they show off their kids or whatever. But Ross Patterson's generally a fairly good guy. He's funny as fuck. And he plays a pretty good role in this movie. But I'm looking forward to Janet seeing it, and looking forward to having you guys there to discuss it with us. 2 weeks from now, this is the 5th of January, the 12th of January, we will be watching Ace Ventura Part 1 from 1994. I think so. We're going to watch that. And
That'll be fun.
Get that done right. And then we'll just cruise through the rest of the list that I have here. If you guys have any suggestions in chat, go ahead and throw them out there, and we'll get those copied into the new Google statement, the new Google document that I've got that will go with me wherever I go. But I'm looking forward to.
I wanted to let everybody know that we watch the movie in Discord, in Bruce's Discord, before we review it. So if you want to watch one of the movies with us, you just send Bruce a DM on X, or me, or any of us.
Janet's good.
And let us know, and I will make sure you get the link so you can watch it with us, because it's a lot of fun to get to watch some of these movies especially, if we've never seen it, or if it's one you've seen before and you just want to see it again. It's just a lot of fun, and it's quiet, and it's just us in there, and it doesn't cost you anything except for your time. So just join us and have a good time, and then join us afterwards. You can talk about what it is that you liked or you hated about the movie, because we love to hear what you have to say. We really do.
Now, my final rating for the movie Go. This is not a movie that I would have normally watched under most pretenses. It definitely held my interest throughout the second and third parts. The part that they were talking at first was the impetus for the entire movie, Rona's story. I felt that was the weakest part, and I love Sarah Polley, because she usually does a good job as an actress, and even behind those cameras, she does and actually I feel a better job. She's one of the few female directors out there that, when you find out what she does, you don't say things like, "Oh, but she's a woman director." No, she's a fucking good director. It doesn't matter if she's got a badge or a peen. The competency is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with her behind the camera and a lot of projects nowadays, she does really good with that. And I'm really happy that she grew as a person and got better at the vocations she wanted to. But I really, I have to say that this movie here is not her strongest performance. For her performance that I thought really knocked out of the park, you'd have to go to 2004 James Gunn movie called Dawn, or I think it's Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead, one of those two. We're at the mall. They're at the mall with Ving Rhames, and that's really.
I was going to say,
Go ahead.
1988's The Adventures with Terry Gilliam directing.
Great.
That
movie.
was an early film of her as a child. Great film.
Really?
Well, so.
That's another movie
Uma Thurman.
I want to watch, is The Bridge to Terabithia. I want you to put that on the list. And The Night of the Comet. Those two movies.
Alice. That was the other one.
Because they pop in my head, when you're talking about different things, and normally I would write that down, but since we're having to redo the list because it got lost.
It didn't get lost. When I stopped being a payer of StreamYard,
yeah,
it kind of fouled things up.
Well, it's okay. We'll just have to redo it.
Yeah, and I've got it set up now, and I love Google Documents, because as long as it's working, like whenever I shut the tab, it saves. I love that, and I've never had it where it didn't save everything. Like I keystroke.
Like StreamYard is kind of like an antivirus.
Say again?
You don't pay for it, and it sounds like StreamYard's kind of like an antivirus. You don't pay for it, it expires or whatever, and it gets all funky.
Not into that. Janet's bazookas direct men into positions. By the way, Janet does have a Patreon, I might say. She also, one of her tiers of her Patreon is where she gets in a chat, and she'll open up the chat and you guys can go in there, and it's an AMA, ask her anything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for those of you that know Janet, like you already know the ground rules. She sets down immediately when you get in a chat with Janet, like, these things are permissible. These things are permissible. These items over here, no. And you know what those are. My name is Bruce. And say again, sir.
Off. 80 millimeter mortar rounds are off limits.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that. We have to do one of those movies with the fembots in them, so I can dress as a fembot and have the little bullets, the little shooting.
Are you talking about?
We could go down to Austin, hook up with Brandon Herrera, and do it prop God.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Need to figure out. We need.
What's the name of those movies? I can't remember. The Spy Shagged Me or something. One of those movies. That would be fun. And he's funny as hell.
Oh wait, my bad.
Yeah, he's over here. So,
Gun
Until
judge.
Until next week, we will be back here to watch and review FDR American Badass. I highly recommend you guys get involved with that. If you want to watch it with us, Janet's already giving you the instruction. Contact her,
Mhm.
and you'll be routed with me and with Six Nations and the others in the chat as well. We were going to have a fun time with that movie.
The
Yes.
greatest presidential monster hunters around.
Next week, Saturday, is the high-level Pathfinder game, and we will see how the party does the current situation. They've actually done fairly well. As a DM, I've got to say, I'm rather happy about how their progress is going so far, because they actually have not shortcutted through a lot of the mapping and all that, but they've actually done things smartly, and they've followed direction well. I'm not upset. Like, oh no, you're gonna skip over these 30 encounters with giants and shit. Okay, fine, skip them. Not in the mood to worry about small semantics and such. But Cotton Ministries, how you doing today, sir? Janet's gonna have some releases throughout the week on her channel, so do be on the lookout for that. And if you are on her X, she does spaces daily.
Not every day, but I try to go in them and listen.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll speak if it's a topic that I'm interested in speaking about.
Well, it's going to be very
So,
interesting.
are we supposed to address Cotton as Father Cotton now and not Papa Cotton? He's got his
Why
own
is he a
ministry going.
father now?
No, he's talking about Cotton Ministries.
Well,
You want to know if that's Papa Cotton?
I know.
That is.
Yeah, it looks like his avatar.
Papa Cotton, friend of Jolly, friend of Floral under a rock.
Yeah, he's probably had to start another channel
Again.
Ah.
For those that don't
Good thing
know,
that numbers are in, right?
we're gonna do
The man.
probably one last Christmas movie in late January.
Mhm.
We're gonna do the movie Black Christmas, because
Ooh.
I'm just not gonna upset my apple cart. I want FDR as my first movie of 2025.
Okay, well, I haven't seen Black Christmas.
Black Christmas from 1974. It was the movie that put Olivia Hussey on a lot of people's radars, because they are not astute and erudite people where they would watch Romeo and Juliet from 1968.
Mhm.
And so that was the first time they saw. Olivia Hussey. She just passed away on Friday, apparently.
I know, I saw that.
And I'm heartbroken, because as much as she was she was not well coached on her lawsuit. She should not have done the lawsuit.
Mhm.
Everything else she did in her life, I think she did fairly well with. I mean, she didn't seem to be like a PETA wearer type person, but she was an animal activist. She tried to benefit animals, which that's okay. If you're a member of PETA, now you're a communist. But I never got the feeling from her she was a commie.
Mhm.
I
I don't think she was in PETA.
No, I don't think so either. They would have fucking like had a $1 billion campaign, mourn with us as we lose Olivia Hussey. That's generally most men. Most guys are out there going, "Oh my God, Olivia Hussey died." I must have masturbated that like 30 or 60 or 70 times.
Yeah.
I had a relative just tell me that like earlier this weekend, and I'm like, the things you talk about when you get older. Anyway.
Well, I think all of us remember our first, person that we fell in love with on TV, or the first song that we really loved that made us fall in love, or things like that. Your first pinup that you hung up on the wall. All those little things. I think all of us remember those things.
There's a level of shame that I have, because mine was Alyssa Milano.
Really? Why would you be ashamed?
My first
you were young.
poster I bought was when I was 12 years old. It was of Alyssa Milano in a brownish beige sweater, and she had a little bit of her stomach exposed, but there was she was completely covered. She might as well have been wearing like a tent or a burqa. And she was hot back then.
Vampire was a go-to for my friend.
That's
I
a
mean,
good
right
for
movie.
Alyssa
now
Milano.
I'm looking behind my monitor and I have a 6 foot tall Hugh Jackman cardboard cutout hanging on my
Is
wall.
that height accurate? Is he actually 6 foot tall?
I don't know, but that's how big this one is. I don't know how tall he is for sure. I know he's taller than Wolverine would have been.
He's
Yeah, he's
6'2".
not an accurate Wolverine.
Yeah, he's
How
six
tall
foot
is he?
two. He's
Glenn
a foot
Danzig
taller
would have
than
been
he needs to be.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying, and I'm not a little kid. I have a cutout of a man on my wall. So, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If it makes you happy at the time, why not? What's wrong with it?
Well, back in the day, I had a crush on Alyssa Milano, like most boys that had Tuesday nights available just to watch Who's the Boss.
Mhm.
And then as you get older, you realize what a treasure Mona was on that show, and she was amazing. But we won't go any further on that. I appreciate all of you here being with us today. All 96 of you that have decided to tune into us. For those on my channels, for those on Janet's, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Six Nations, you want to escort us out, sir?
Sure. Don't forget to tip your waitress. See you next Sunday.